There are some moments in life when there is totally blank road in front of us. No family, no friends, no desires. Then the voice comes from inside. I don't want to live too long. It sounds dark, but most of the time it doesn't come from a wish to die. It comes from a wish for peace. When people think this way, they are not always asking for death. They are asking for an end to the pain, the noise, the constant pressure of trying to keep going in a world that never stops demanding more. They are not looking for the end of life itself, but the end of the storm that lives inside them. Psychology helps us understand this better. When a person loses meaning in their life, time begins to feel heavy. Every day starts to look the same. The future stops feeling exciting and instead feels like a long road with no purpose. The mind begins to pull away from hope, and the heart whispers, maybe I don't need a long life. It is not really death they want. It's a break from the emptiness. This is called existential fatigue. It's not tiredness of the body, but of the soul. It's when you wake up and move through the day, but nothing feels real anymore. You don't look forward to anything. You don't even feel deeply sad. You just feel numb, as if something inside you has stopped working. Many people who feel this way also feel like they have lost control. They might have faced years of problems they couldn't change, losses they couldn't stop, and disappointments that made them stop trusting life. When you feel helpless again and again, the brain starts to defend itself by pulling away. The thought of dying early becomes a strange way to take back control. It's like saying, I can't control what happens to me, but maybe I can control when it ends. It's not really about wanting to die. It's about wanting to have a say in something when everything else feels uncontrollable. There's also something deeper happening in society. We live in a world that tells us to be happy all the time. We're told to smile, to stay positive, to be grateful, even when we feel broken inside. And when we can't do that, people make us feel like something's wrong with us. So most people, especially men, hide their pain. They laugh, they work hard, they act strong, and they never admit that inside they are slowly breaking. The pressure to appear okay becomes a quiet form of suffering. The brain starts to look for escape, and sometimes that escape looks like not wanting a long life. Men especially are taught to fix things, not to feel them. So when a man can't fix his pain, his brain begins to look for logical solutions to emotional problems. He starts to think in straight lines. If I can't make this better, maybe I shouldn't stay for the whole ride. That's why many men who have these thoughts don't cry or panic. They sound calm. They've already accepted the idea quietly. It's not because they want to disappear. It's because they can't find another way to make the pain stop. But deep down, most people who think this way don't really want to die. They just want to stop hurting. They want their life to make sense again, and they hope, quietly, that someone will understand them without judging. Sometimes they just need one person to look at them and say, I see you. You're not alone. Often this feeling starts early in life. People who grow up without love, care, or a sense of safety learn to survive without emotional comfort. Their minds form a quiet belief. If no one really needs me, maybe I'm not meant to stay long. They don't imagine growing old because they never believed they were allowed to. This becomes a hidden script in their mind, shaping how they see time and purpose. Then there's the pressure of achievement. When success becomes the only measure of worth, people begin to lose themselves. They run, they compete, they chase goals, but the soul can't keep that speed forever. Eventually the mind breaks down and whispers, "Maybe I don't want to keep running for another 40 years. That isn't despair, it's exhaustion pretending to be choice." The interesting part is that the human brain never truly gives up. Even when someone says they want to die early, their mind is still searching. It's searching for meaning, peace, or a feeling of being alive again. The wish to die is often a misunderstood wish to feel alive in a different way. It's the heart saying, "If I could find peace, I'd want to stay." People who think deeply, who feel deeply, who see through the noise, they often struggle the most. They can't fake happiness. They can't play along with the world's illusions. Their honesty becomes their pain. But it's also what makes them capable of powerful transformation. Because when you understand your darkness, you also open the door to your own light. Wanting to die early is not really a death wish. It's a wish for meaning, a wish to stop pretending, a wish to finally rest. When you begin to understand this, you stop seeing these people as weak or strange. You see them as tired souls who have carried too much without enough care. And once they start learning about themselves, why their mind feels this way, where their pain comes from, that wish slowly begins to change. Because once you know the reason for your pain, you stop blaming yourself for feeling it. You begin to see your emotions not as enemies, but as messages. Your pain is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to tell you something important, that you need to be understood, not judged. When a man says he doesn't want to live long, what he usually means is that he's tired of fighting. He's tired of the pressure, the expectations, and the loneliness that follows him everywhere. Psychologists call this emotional numbness. When the mind faces too much pain or stress, it starts to shut down feelings. The world loses colour. Nothing feels joyful, but nothing feels terrible either. It's like living behind a glass wall. You can see life happening, but you can't feel it anymore. When someone says, "I'd rather die early," they might really be saying, "I can't feel anything anymore." What's strange is that this reaction is not weakness. It's the brain's way of protecting itself. The mind doesn't want to destroy itself, it wants relief. Death becomes a symbol for peace, a way of saying, "I just want everything to stop for a while." But what people don't realize is that peace is possible without dying. The problem is that we were never taught how to rest emotionally. We know how to rest our bodies. As we sleep, we take breaks, but we never rest our hearts. True rest comes when you can say, "I'm not okay, and that's okay for now." That sentence alone can be healing. Society teaches men that showing weakness takes away respect. But the truth is the opposite. The strongest men are not the ones who never cry. They are the ones who know when to talk before it's too late. Every emotion that stays inside becomes pressure, and pressure turns into quiet destruction. Through history, men have been told to be strong, to never show emotion. And that idea has cost countless lives. Not because they were weak, but because no one taught them that softness is strength too. When someone says they want to die early, it's not a failure of courage, it's a failure of connection. They live in a world that gave them goals but not meaning, success but not peace, noise but not understanding. Healing doesn't start with fake motivation, it starts with truth. The moment a person says, "I don't want to die, I just want the pain to stop," that's when healing begins. Because now the goal is not to escape, it's to understand. Once a person begins to ask, "What do I really need?" instead of, "What's the point?" that's a turning point. That's the mind starting to rebuild meaning. Step by step, day by day, it begins to come alive again. And people who've touched that darkness often come back wiser. They see life differently. Once you've seen how fragile life is, you stop pretending. You stop chasing perfection and start looking for truth. You begin to crave real connection, real peace, real feeling. That's when life slowly starts to make sense again. When that thought, "I want to die early," appears again, it can be a sign, not an end. A sign that something inside you needs attention. Maybe your life right now isn't working, but that doesn't mean it never will. Change doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's just learning to breathe again, to sit quietly without fear, to speak even when you're afraid, to cry when you need to find one small reason to stay. Even if that reason is just curiosity about what tomorrow might bring. People who want to die early are not broken. They're people who have felt too much for too long. They're not weak. They're sensitive in a world that doesn't know how to handle sensitivity. But that same sensitivity, when understood, becomes power. It becomes empathy, depth, and wisdom. People who have been through darkness often become the best listeners, the kindest friends, the quiet healers of others, because they know how it feels to need saving and find none. That's the strange beauty of pain. The same suffering that makes you wish for death can later become the reason someone else chooses to live. Darkness doesn't have to be erased. It can be transformed. Once you learn to carry your pain differently, it stops controlling you. It starts guiding you. So the next time you hear someone say they don't want to live long, don't argue with them. Just ask softly, "What feels too heavy right now?" That question can open a door that's been locked for years. People don't need advice first. They need to be heard. They need permission to feel. In the end, psychology is not just about understanding behavior. It's about understanding the heart. No one really wants to die. They just want to stop living a life that hurts. When you help someone find meaning, the wish to die slowly disappears. Give them hope, give them space, and they begin to see time differently. Maybe life isn't about how long we live, but how deeply we feel it. When meaning replaces despair, time stops being an enemy. It becomes what it always was, a chance. A chance to start again, to heal, to grow, and maybe, just maybe, to want to live a little longer after all. In the end, the thought of wanting to die earlier is not really about death at all. It's about the human need to rest, to find peace, and to feel seen. People who say they don't want to live long are not hopeless. They are tired of pretending. They're tired of wearing masks every day just to fit into a world that doesn't stop to understand how much pressure it creates. Inside them there's a voice saying, "I'm still here, but I don't know why." That voice doesn't need judgment, it needs gentleness. We often talk about saving lives as if it's only about stopping someone from doing harm to themselves. But real saving begins much earlier. It begins when we start noticing people who've stopped smiling, people who laugh too loud to hide silence, people who work endlessly just to stay distracted. It's not always the loud ones who are breaking. Sometimes it's the quiet, calm, polite ones. The ones who never ask for help because they don't want to burden anyone. If we understood this psychology better, we would stop treating emotional pain like weakness. We would see that wanting to die early is not a flaw. It's a human signal. It's the heart's way of saying, "I'm tired. Please notice me before I fade." It's the body's way of asking for care. And the beautiful truth is that care can change everything. A single real conversation, a moment of kindness, a space where someone can cry without shame. These things can give life back its meaning. Psychology teaches us that meaning is medicine. People don't need a perfect life to want to live. They just need a reason. Sometimes that reason is love. Sometimes it's hope. Sometimes it's simply the idea that they can still change their story. And the moment someone realizes that their pain is not permanent, that their story is still being written, something powerful happens. The thought of dying early begins to lose its grip. Every person who once wished for death and chose to stay eventually becomes stronger, softer, and more real. They see the world differently. They no longer chase what's fake. They value truth, calm, and kindness. Their pain turns into perspective. And that's why the ones who've been to the edge often become the ones who guide others back. So maybe the goal is not to convince people to love life immediately. Maybe it's to help them understand it slowly, to help them see that peace is not found at the end of life. It's found in learning how to live differently. Every breath, every sunrise, or every quiet night is a new chance to feel anything honest again. The truth is, no one really wants to die. They just want to stop living in pain. And when they find even one reason to stay, one voice that says, "You matter," life begins again. Because life isn't about how long we stay, but how deeply we understand why we're here. And once that understanding begins, time stops feeling like a burden. It becomes a gift. One more day to try, to feel, to heal, and to live a little longer with meaning.